This is Paul and Ian for another McSoss video, and tonight we're going to break down the second half of Fargo Season 3. I was a little bit underwhelmed by the very ending.
I was too. I had to watch it again today just to sort of not reform my opinion, but just remember the things that happened. And I want to say, it was unmemorable. There weren't a lot of things that happened, but one of my favorite characters got killed. Yeah. They caught Vargas in the end. Yeah. So a lot of things did happen, but
did they catch Vargas in the end?
That's another point of contention with some of the people out there, some of the fans of this third season. What did you think? Do you want to jump right to the end and kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's just get that out of the way now. I don't know what happened because I don't like choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
I'd never watched The Sopranos, but that's what happened with the Sopranos finale,
that's
right? They were like, is he dead? Is he not? Or is he getting a hand job? Is he not? I didn't watch it.
I don't think he was getting a hand job, but
there was
could possibly have been
dead or hand
murdered.
Job question.
Yes, yeah. But this was even more ambiguous because he sits down with Gloria. The Department of Homeland Security does finally catch him years later. I think it's 5 years later that this takes place. And she's an agent. They call her in since it was part of her case. And he's sitting there basically talking about what is truth and what is true to you and what is reality and can you make your own truth. And he says basically to her, in a couple minutes, somebody that you can't outrank and you can't out-argue is going to walk in here, is going to undo my cuffs, and I'm going to walk out of here a free man, and I'll be off into the wind. And she responds with, well, no, I think we're actually going to take you away and put you in your cell. And the camera pans up to the clock and fade to black, so the viewer is left to kind of make their own judgment on what is real and what isn't.
It's frustrating on two levels because I'm a dummy. And every time something like this happens in a movie or a show or a comic, I don't get it. I see it happening and I'm like, Noah Hawley's making some kind of a statement with this ending. Be it about, time or perception, whatever. I always feel like I don't get it. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of the reason that I don't really like Watchmen because, Alan Moore had a bigger story. He had bigger points he was making with that story. And I get it. I see all of the signposts happening, but I don't really get it. Yeah. So one, if Noah Hawley was making a bigger statement with the end, I didn't understand it. And two, I followed you this whole time. Mm-hmm. This has been your story the whole time. I wasn't allowed to guess at what happens throughout the rest of the episodes. Mm-hmm. Don't back out on me now. Tell your story. I'm in. I'm invested in your story. Finish your story.
Yeah, I do think that it is it's just a thematic turn on. And they spell it out pretty clearly at the end with Vargas' little monologue about what is truth and what is not. But to me, that doesn't seem like that was the theme of all of the episodes. That wasn't the theme of the show. So it was weird that they make that turn towards the end in the final episode. Yeah. The final set piece is this is my definitive statement about what this show is about this time. And the rest of the show isn't about that. The rest of the show is pretty much your standard Fargo, good and evil narrative. The, sort of angelic cop or woman that takes on bumbling criminals and or outside villains, be they Varga or in the other seasons, the mob or things like that. And this was pretty much standard Fargo fare up until the last scene of the show.
Well, even if the last message would have been delivered between Varga and Emmett,
yeah,
I'd have been all right because those two are together through the entire season. I think up until that point, Varga and Gloria have one scene in Emmett's office together, and so there's like the weight. It didn't have, the scene didn't have any weight for me because these characters don't really mean anything to each other.
Whenever he she says to him, "You don't remember me," and he says, "I think just because I don't have a formal introduction with you doesn't mean that I don't remember you. I think I met you once or twice." And at that point, it kind of goes back to the narrative of the scene, which is like, I'm like, is he lying? Because I don't remember. I don't remember. Was it in like the second episode? Or I can't go to it. So it seemed like it was another portion of like, is it truth or is it not? Yeah. So, that left me unsatisfied. I think the through line for this episode and the finale in the season for me is unsatisfied. I was left feeling very unsatisfied. I was unsatisfied with the Nikki Swango arc. I think that she was a different kind of character in Fargo because she starts off as a criminal sort of shyster type character.
And she turns into Liam Neeson.
Yeah. Which is weird, but I still liked her a whole lot. And I wanted her to win. The only problem with her character was I never truly believed that she was fully in love with Ray. The reason why she goes on to do all the things she does in the second half of the season is because
they made Ray too unattractive.
Absolutely. To the point today when I was rewatching the last episode, I thought to myself, well, they should have switched the look of Ray and Emmett around a little bit. Like, if you give me Ethan Hawke as he actually looks...
Ewan McGregor?
Ethan Hawke. Ewan McGregor as he actually looks.
I was like, what
show are we watching?
Trip are we pulling?
Ewan McGregor. If you give just like standard Ewan McGregor, I could believe that that she could have fell in love with that dude. But it seemed like she was always playing him. It was always a work, and it rang hollow that she would go and do all this maniacal Kill Bill-ish stuff to write the ledger.
And what lended to I had the same perception of those characters, and what lended to it is that Ray was so bumbling the entire time that we know it's true out there, everybody. Laws of equal and opposite attraction apply. Water does find its own level. No way in God's green earth Mary Elizabeth Winstead is that into the balding Hulk hair wearing version of Ewan McGregor.
I get
Never in a billion years.
I get it in the first half, whenever he is her parole officer, he holds some kind of power, but halfway through he loses his job, he no longer has any power over her, and you would think that she would have been gone. So it was really strange.
And with Fargo being a show of twists and turns, with that dynamic already set up, that he's her parole officer and he can hold this over her, that's why she's playing him, it never rings true that she's really in love with him. Up until the very end, up until she gets killed, I'm like, when's her real plan gonna unfold?
Yeah, because she was exposed to being really cunning and being able to outsmart Varga and his whole crew. I'm like, nah, this still feels like it's a work. It still feels like there's something that she's not letting the audience know about, that we have one last turn that's going to come by. I thought whenever she caught up to Emmett, it was going to be some she's really in love with Emmett or something crazy like that.
Yeah,
but it wasn't.
Or that was the play the entire time.
Right.
To break Emmett down to get in there and then save the company from Vargo with him.
Right.
But that was pretty late in the final episode to make that happen. But that was the thing with Nikki and Ray. It just never felt natural.
And that was set up as the heart of the revenge and the driving force behind the last 6 episodes. And I think most of the audience, you and I, both felt that it rang completely hollow. I just ended up kind of going along, but sort of looking at it side-eyed, like, is this really what we're going to do with the rest of the series?
we watched the first half and we did a video, and I was like, okay, like, you know, it's okay. I trust Noah Hawley. I trust what he's done. I like all the actors in this season, so I'm gonna see it through. And it got a lot better. Maybe around like episode 4, like I was in. Like I guess whenever Gloria gets back from LA, I was like, all right, like everything's starting to pick up. Everything's getting going, and I was in, even though I had all of these questions about it. Going back to the very first scene in the first episode about the Russian guy, I kept waiting for that to come back. Yeah. And to play bigger in the rest of the story. Well, and it never did. It was just setting up that, oh, this guy with Vargas is a really bad guy.
It does, if you think about it, it does come back, but only in that final scene, because what's happening with that Russian guy? He's telling the guy that's interrogating him, well, no, that is my name, but I didn't do any of those things, and I didn't kill my wife, and I didn't do any of that stuff. And the interrogator is like, oh yeah? Well, I say you do. I say you did do that stuff. So who's right? What's the truth? I think this is my truth. So I think, like, the narrative of that...
That's a long way to go.
Right?
To make the beginning and end scenes of a season line up.
But they dovetail. If you look at them, it's an interrogation scene based around the same, like, narrative about what is truth. But the only difference is, I feel like in the final scene, Vargas has all the, like, he has learned that, and he has all the power in that situation, whereas in the other situation, the Russian farmer that just came in, he's just finding out about this. So, but those two scenes match up, but they're the only scenes in all of Fargo that do it.
If they did it in a way that that it was Varga that they were trying to pin the stuff on the farmer with, then it would have made a lot more sense. But it wasn't. Right. It was Varga's Russian guy. Yeah. And he had nothing to do with the series. He was just Varga's muscle. He wasn't one of the main players. He wasn't a real driving force of the season.
Yeah, so, I was just left real disappointed. I feel like maybe Fargo is out of juice at this point. Like, maybe we've done the things that we need to do with it, and the way that it's currently constructed, you might not be able to do any more.
I think there's ways to still do it, because this season was good. It just some creative decisions didn't pan out. Yeah. Had Ray been more handsome, had Nikki Swango been less gorgeous, that's not a weird sticking point for us.
Or if she had, like, an ulterior motive, like we all assumed she did.
Had the beginning and the ends lined up more. Had there been an actual definitive ending, like, we wouldn't be so disappointed with it. There were a lot of cool things. The weirdo, like, purgatory rest stop that they make when Nikki and... What do they call that guy? The mouth?
The wrench.
The wrench.
Yeah.
Whenever they're running through the woods, the Russian guy's chasing them. They meet Ray Wise in a bowling alley, and they each see, like, their future or some premonition.
Yeah, it's real strange. I know it kind of harkens back to other Coen Brothers stuff, The Big Lebowski, whenever the dude sits down with the stranger in the bowling alley. It's a similar kind of thing.
And, like, all the UFO stuff in season 1 that never plays out.
Yeah, I was a little in the moment whenever the UFO stuff makes itself present in season 2. I was like, this is weird. I hate that.
Is that season 2?
It's season 2 because it's the shootout in the penultimate episode.
Oh, yeah.
That's what allows everybody to get away.
And Kieran Culkin sees it in the beginning episode. After the shootout,
because
he walks out into the field.
That's what gets him hit by the car because he's, like, looking at the UFO. But I wish they would have brought more oddball stuff like that.
Well, that's where I thought they were going with it, because Gloria goes out to LA and she finds out that her father-in-law
Yes, father-in-law.
That he used to be a famous writer, and he wrote all these sci-fi books and all these space books. There was that weird animated interlude with like the robot alien walking through, centuries on Earth, and I was like, oh well, this ties back into season 1. We're gonna see. Like, that's going to tie into this. We're going to see that happen.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see that robot or something.
And essentially, that whole story about Ennis Stussy.
Yeah.
Pointless. They find she goes out to L.A. The whole time in L.A., pointless.
Yeah, it was a wasted, 2 episodes of her talking about going to L.A., going there, and then the next episode, it was all more L.A. wrap-up. Yeah. And it didn't have any effect on the season at all.
Nothing.
And if you would have tied it back with some UFO stuff or some alien things, that would have brought the arcs of season 2 and season 3 back more in line, I thought. But I guess that's not where they wanted to go with it.
I can handle the weird stuff, like the UFO stuff in season 1. They never touch on it, and that's fine. The purgatory stuff in season 3. It's never more than that, and that's fine. It's one of those patented Fargo quirks. But the whole LA trip and all the backstory for Ennis, and it was just so fleshed out, and it had nothing to do with the main storyline.
Yeah, so much stuff that they build up that amounts to nothing, which leaves us feeling unsatisfied and disappointed.
All that said, I love the cast.
I did too. I like Carrie Coon a whole lot.
Yeah.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead was great.
Ewan McGregor was great.
David Thewlis it's his summer. He's having
summer of Thewlis.
He's having a great time, eviling it up in Wonder Woman and Fargo. So
he thought he was gonna break after Prisoner of Azkaban, but nope. No, we had to wait a few more years, and this is the summer of Thewlis. I like the guy that played Feltz. Cy Feltz?
Yeah.
He was so fucking good. And what's really bizarre, look him up in real life. He looks nothing like the character he played. He's really thin. He's got no mustache. I don't know if they put a little bit of a fat suit on him.
Yeah.
But I thought he was great. Ewan McGregor did a great job. Mary Elizabeth Winstead needs to be in more things. All the Russian guy and the Asian guy, the thugs, everyone was really solid.
The crew, the Animal Head crew, with DJ Quarles, I think the main guy is. Yeah. That go after Nikki and the wrench in the woods. That whole episode was really good. So yeah, I mean there were stuff that was really worthwhile seeing, but I
like the wrench tie-in a lot because he was in
season 1.
He was in season 1, and I'm pretty sure this season takes place before the events of season 1.
I think you're right.
So those little tie-ins, I love. I love the bit that the main sheriff's dad in season 1 is Patrick Wilson, younger in season 2. Little tie-ins like that bring it together. Great. They're perfect little nods to the town and everything going on. I wish they'd tie more of those loose threads together.
Yeah, this one felt a little detached from the first 2 seasons. I'd be into seeing a 4th season, but it seems like Noah Hawley's going to go off and do some other stuff.
Oh, is he?
So they're Fargo is on an indefinite hiatus. They're not sure where they're going to go, and that's what FX's plan sort of is. It's the same thing that they're doing with Atlanta, where they're going to just wait for it to come back in maybe a year or 2, whenever Donald Glover's done being in Han Solo.
That's what the BBC does with a lot of shows, and
Yeah.
It seems to work. I mean, Sherlock fans wait years until Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman's schedules free up and they're able to come back and put a season together. And I'm okay with that. I would rather wait. It's like when a comic book gets a different artist after you've gotten an all-star writer and artist together. Don't give me another creative team. Just wait until these guys can do more. I'd rather a book be late than get a crappier artist. So
I don't want fill-in art messing up my graphic novel.
I don't want fill-in showrunners taking care of Fargo.
Yeah.
Just let it sit for all the bumps that season 3 had. I still enjoyed it. I still liked it. Noah Hawley is, aces. So I think just hang on.
Yep.
Hang on, wait till he's ready.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it. Follow us on YouTube if you go and type in McSoss. You can follow us on all the other social networks the same way. Just type in McSoss, McSoss, and drop us a line. If you like the stuff that we talk about here, we try to do something a little bit different than what we do on the podcast or on our webcomics. So if you have a suggestion, hit us up or just leave us some general feedback. We love that kind of stuff.
Thanks, everybody.